30 Days by Kingston on AO3. Episode 16. Chapter 9. Awkward. About an hour had passed, and Amity was still trying to figure out how to write her next letter. She was currently staring at only 2 words she had gotten on the paper. Dear Luce. She hadn't even managed a comma yet. With a defeated sigh, Amity stood up and began pacing circles around the room. Should I mention that I like her? Through a letter? Right before an important game? No, and certainly not. She ranted, slicing through the air in a motion not unlike a karate chop with each no. Amity sat back down after a few more minutes of pacing, only slightly worried she'd wear a hole through the floor. Okay, I'll just make an excuse. I'd say it's not me. Yeah, it's my friend who wants advice. A few minutes of contemplating later, Amity sighed for what was probably the 12th time in an hour. No, she knows that she's one of my only friends. What if you just tell the truth? A small voice in Amity's head spoke out. Deciding she sighed enough for one afternoon, Amity just quietly began the letter. Dear Luce, I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. How are you? I hope you're ready for your basketball game tomorrow. I cannot wait to come and watch. You never told me who you were going up against, so it'll be a surprise, I suppose. I was meaning to ask you. Amity stopped, unsure of what she had meant to ask. How do you feel about me being in love with you, despite the fact that we haven't spoken in person in weeks? Was probably a good start. Oh no, Amity murmured. That stupid bet is still in play, isn't it? Suddenly, Amity had a time limit on confessing her feelings. Luce was taking the bet as serious as she was, and if Amity couldn't say, yeah, I've fallen impossibly hard for you over letters, Luce was going to make good on her promise and leave. For good. What was her time limit again? Oh, yeah. Amity had 9 days left to tell Luce how she felt. That was probably a good place to start. Swish. Shit. Luce grumbled, dashing across the court. Gladys was up by 1 now, with 4 minutes left in the team first big game. She barely blocked another throw, knocking the ball off kilter with the tips of her fingers. It spiraled down towards Boscha, who caught it with a thug and took it running. She passed Psyche, who jumped up and barely missed it, the ball sailing onto the arms of the Gladius players. The players, a smaller girl with green highlights, ran back towards Hexide's basket, but was intercepted by Boscha, the team's taller player. With a loud thunk, Boscha had swatted the ball down, right towards Luce. She took running, the ball a blur in the corner of her eyes, as she came up on the 3-pointer line. The ball flew from her hands, missing the outstretched arms of the opponent and hitting the backboard lightly before falling into the net. The room was filled with cheers, and the overwhelming sounds of the buzzer as the game ended. They won! They won! Whoa! Boscha ran over, hugged grinned on her face, as she gestured wildly for the others to run over. She thumbed Luce on the back, yelling so she could be heard over the cheers. Nice job! Before congratulate the others and running off to where Willow was watching from, Luce didn't see Amity among the sea of people, her gaze falling towards the floor. She took a breath in. It wasn't that big of a deal. Really, it was just a basketball game. No worries. She walked off the court, not stopping at the locker room. She left her phone in her room anyways. There wasn't anything she needed in there. Scooping her bottle from the bench, Luce made her way towards the main exit. After she came out the double oak door, a hand hit her shoulder. Hey. Luce spun around, a grin making onto her face. Hey, Blight-y. I thought you missed the game. Nope, just watched from the side. People on the beachers are rowdy. Amity smiled gently, something Luce rarely saw. So, you saw my epic save? The shorter girl asked, mimicking out the action. The last throw you made? Yeah, you did good, Amity said, awkwardly moving to tap Luce on the back. It was a tap, not a pat or a clap, just a tap. What was that? Luce said, making sure the green-haired girl hadn't stuck something on her shoulder. I saw your friend do it. I'm not sure. Amity chuckled nervously, retracting her hand from Luce's shoulder. The latter laughed lightly at Amity's response, smiling brightly as she did so. You really aren't good at being friendly, huh? Luce asked, gesturing for Amity to walk with her back to her dorm hall. Shut up. I'll probably be better than you are. Amity retired, picking up the pace to catch up to Luz, who had gotten a head start. Yeah, and that's why you tapped me so lightly. You're supposed to do it harder, by the way. Luz mocked, thumping his shoulder against Amity's as they walked. I was making you feel better about not knowing. Amity retorted with a shrug, the smile on her face growing with Luz rolled her eyes. Yeah, that makes sense. Glad we're in agreement. Ma'am, they're together. Yes, ma'am. Of course. As you wish, ma'am. Thug, thug, thug. Oh, can it be? It's 6 a.m. on Saturday. Luz murmured, sleepily from her bed. Thug, thug, thug. Suddenly more aware of her surroundings, Luz realized that the noise was knocking. Someone get the door, it's loud. She complained before sitting up. Wait, it's my door. My bad. Thug, thug, thug. For the love of the Titan, stop! I'm coming! Luz got out of bed and approached the door, mumbling something under her breath about how 6 a.m. wasn't the time to knock on a door. She unlocked and opened the door, groaning at the sight. No. Luz went to shut the door back, very demanded to slam it right in their face. Oh no, dear, I'm allowed to be here, Odalia said, putting a hand up to prevent the door shutting. No, you can't. It's my room, Luz replied, arms crossed as she blocked the door. Odalia was no taller than she was, and definitely wasn't an athlete. But I am. Odalia held up a sheet of paper, and Luz flicked on the light switch beside her to read it. A warrant? You got a search warrant for my dorm room? What did I do? Luz threw her arms up, moving out the way. It's amazing what money can do. Odalia laughed as she walked in, observing the room. She scoffed at the bisexual flag that hung over Luz's bed. Of course. Hey, what's that supposed to mean? Luz said through gritted teeth. She could definitely win a fist fight against this homophobic excuse for a mother. But a court fight was a whole different beast. Oh, nothing. Odalia narrowed her eyes at the girl before continuing to look around. She stopped by Luz's desk, pursuing through the papers tossed across it. Luz wasn't 100% surprised by Odalia's visit. Had taken a precaution to put Amity's letters in her bottom drawer of her desk, buried under countless layers of basketball notes and rosters. A nagging feeling hit Luz like a bullet train. She had forgotten something, hadn't she? Odalia opened the top left drawer, and upon seeing only pens and pencils, closed it. Ah, that's what she forgot. Shit. What are you even looking for? Luz asked from her position on the bed. Maybe a distraction would work. Anything incriminating, really? Odalia replied blankly, not taking her eyes off the desk. She opened the top right drawer. Hopefully, Odalia would kill her before she had to face Amity's disappointment or anger, or both. What's this? Odalia murmured, unfolding the piece of paper she held. Her eyes grew wide as she read it. Luz could practically see her blood vessels burst. Odalia turned the paper around so Luz could see it. Not like she needed to. She knew the only thing in that drawer. Their bet. Odalia ripped the paper in half, her rage bubbling as she tore the contract again and again. Voided, she said loudly, her tone filled with only anger. If you so as much as think of my daughter again, I'll make sure you get the dingiest cell in the dingiest prison I could find. Odalia growled, crumbling the shredded paper in her hands and storming out. Fuck! Fuck! Luz jumped up from the spot on the bed, running after Odalia, who seemed to disappear. Everyone knew parents move fastest when powered by disappointment. When I get my hands on her? Odalia thought, storming down the hallway. She never felt more betrayed. Her own daughter, one of them? Preposterous! Amity would need to be brought home immediately. Amity would need to be brought back home immediately. Eric and Emira should be as well. No telling whether or not it had spread to them. Speaking of Eric, he had been living in the apartment with that distasteful hunter boy, writing their comic about whatever the Golden Guard was. Only the Titan knew what went on behind those closed doors. Emira was with that girl Vinny more often than not. They were taking veterinary science, and even talked of opening a veterinary clinic together. The twins had their freedom, and they most likely became one of them. This wasn't good for the family. Oh no, the homophobic bitch. She strikes. She strikes. And she does not score because I hate her. And we are like 1 to 2 chapters away, and there's no way that it could get really, really angsty unless it gets really, really angsty. Fuck, it's gonna get really, really angsty. No, Kingston, how dare you do this to me? How dare you? Kingston, how dare you write such poetry and then rip it from my heart? Kingston, listen, Kingston, let the gays be gay. Kingston, listen out. Let the gays be gay. Let them be okay. Kingston, let them be. Kingston, let them be okay. Just hear me out. We don't do anything to the gays, and we let them be, and we let them be happy, and we don't pull this motherfucking bullshit again. Okay, Kingston, you have great power. You have amazing writing skills. Don't use it for evil. Do not turn to the dark side. Don't let Dark Reunion take over your thoughts. I'm sorry. Where Dark Reunion came from, I need to stop watching Psychic K. This was a really good chapter so far. Amity has 9 days to confess, and hopefully she does confess, and hopefully we get a moment where Amity's like, fuck you, mother. Obviously, she's probably not gonna say fuck you, mother, but like, I really hope that, you know, she finally stands up to her, you know? Anyways, as always, my raindrops, make sure to eat, sleep, drink water, take your meds. Have a wonderful day or night. Link to my Discord server and socials are down in the description. Subscribe to see more of my content, and thank you so much for watching.